The smell of fresh sawdust always cleared my head. That morning in my workshop, hand plane gliding over the canoe's gunwale, I almost believed things might get better. Coffee steaming beside me, Cardinals pregame show crackling on the old AM radio, golden lights slanting through the dusty window. It was the kind of peace a man earns after 67 years of showing up. Claire hadn't spoken to me in 3 days. Not unusual anymore. Her bedroom door had been locked every night for a week, that deadbolt clicking shut at 9 o'clock sharp like a prison sentence. I told myself it was just another rough patch. 8 years of marriage, we'd had plenty. I was wrong. Michael. Her voice cut through the radio static, flat and cold from the kitchen doorway. Come in here. We need to talk. Something in her tone, rehearsed, final, made my coffee go cold in my hand. I set down the plane and walked toward the kitchen, not knowing I was walking toward war. Claire stood by the table with her arms crossed. She wasn't alone. Her brother Derek sat in my chair, the one at the head of the table, the one I'd sat in every morning for 40 years. Manila folders spread out in front of him like he was running a board meeting. His expensive cologne hit me before I'd crossed the threshold, some designer nonsense that probably cost more than my monthly electric bill. Have a seat, Mike. Derek gestured to the side chair like he was doing me a favor. I stayed standing. What's this about? Claire glanced at Derek, then back at me. No warmth in those eyes. When had that happened? When had my wife started looking at me like I was a stranger at the DMV? We need to discuss your future, she said. Not our future. Your future. The words landed like a slap. Our future, I corrected, keeping my voice level. We're married, Claire. Derek leaned back in my chair, and smiled. Not a friendly smile. The kind of smile a car salesman gives you when he knows you're desperate. Let's be realistic here, Mike. You're getting older. Claire's worried. We're all worried. Worried about what? He tapped one of the folders. Your health, your memory, your ability to manage things. I looked at Claire. She wouldn't meet my eyes. I'm 67, not 97, I said. I still run 3 miles every other morning. Fixed the washing machine last week. Balanced the checkbook same as I have for 40 years. What exactly am I failing to manage? Derek pulled out a glossy brochure and slid it across the table. Meadowbrook Senior Living. Happy old people playing cards in a sunlit room that probably didn't exist. We've been looking into options, Claire said, her voice soft like she was talking to a child. Places where you'd have supervision, activities, care. The word supervision stuck in my throat like a chicken bone. You want to put me in a home? Not a question. A statement. We want you safe, Derek said. He had this practice tone, like he'd rehearsed this speech. You forgot that dentist appointment last month. Claire says you've been getting confused about conversations you've had. I forgot one appointment because the office changed the damn date and didn't call me, and I'm not confused. I know exactly what conversations I've had. My hands were shaking. I gripped the back of the chair to steady them, remembered my father in a place like Meadowbrook, drugged smile, paper gown, calling me by my brother's name until the day he died. This is what we're talking about, Claire said, pointing at my hands. You're getting agitated. You're not thinking clearly. I'm agitated because my wife and her brother ambushed me in my own kitchen to talk about putting me away like an old dog. Derek's smile vanished. Don't be dramatic. We're trying to help you while you can still understand what's happening. Before things get worse. Before what gets worse? I'm fine. You're isolated, Claire said. You spend all day in that workshop. You don't have friends. You don't go anywhere. I have Henry next door. I go to church. I do my errands. Henry's older than you, Derek cut in. And church once a week isn't a social life. He stood up, walked around the table, got too close, invading my space like bullies do. I could see the gray in his temple hair, dyed to look distinguished. I'd bet money on it. Probably thought it made him look successful instead of desperate. Look, old-timer, he said, dropping the fake concern. This is happening whether you like it or not. Claire has legal options, power of attorney, conservatorship if it comes to that. We're giving you the courtesy of a conversation first. My vision narrowed. Old-timer, like I was some relic cluttering up their plans. Our future, I said again, looking at Claire, will be on my terms, not yours, not his. Mine. Derek laughed, actually laughed. We'll see about that. Claire finally looked at me then, really looked at me, and there was nothing there. No guilt, no love, no recognition, just cold calculation, like she was adding up numbers in her head and I was coming up short. Think about Meadowbrook, she said quietly. They have a lovely memory care unit. They left the brochures on the table like a threat and walked out through the side door. I heard Derek's car start up, expensive engine purring as it disappeared down the gravel drive. I stood there for a long time, hands still gripping the chair. Through the window, I could see my workshop, the canoe I'd spent 2 years restoring, the workbench my grandfather built in 1952. I picked up the Meadowbrook brochure. Someone had circled memory care unit in red pen. My wedding ring caught the light as my hands started shaking again. How long had they been planning this? 2 days of silence. Claire moved through the house like a ghost, there but not there. I'd hear her bedroom door lock at night, hear her car leave in the mornings. She'd come back with shopping bags she didn't show me, receipts she tucked away fast. I kept working on the canoe, sanded until my shoulders ached. It was easier than thinking. Saturday afternoon, I smelled pot roast. Linda's recipe, the one with carrots and rosemary, the one that filled the house with comfort. Claire hadn't made it in 3 years. I found her in the kitchen, apron on, setting the table, 2 plates, 2 glasses of wine. I'm sorry, she said before I could speak. About Derek. About his tone. He gets pushy sometimes. We just want you safe, Michael. That's all. I wanted to believe her. God, how I wanted to believe her. Loneliness does that to a man, makes you accept crumbs when you're starving for a meal. We ate together. She asked about the canoe. Laughed at something I said about Henry's terrible Cardinals predictions. For 2 hours, it felt like the old days. Back when we first married and she'd bring me coffee in the workshop and kiss my sawdust-covered forehead. After dinner, we watched an old Western on TV. She put her hand on my arm during a quiet scene. Her fingers were cold, but I told myself that didn't mean anything. Maybe I'd overreacted. Maybe Derek was just clumsy, and she really was worried. Maybe we could work this out. I fell asleep on the couch. Woke up at midnight to find her gone. Bedroom door locked again. Sunday morning, my truck wouldn't start. Battery dead. My own fault for leaving the dome light on. I needed jumper cables from Claire's car. She was still sleeping. I grabbed her keys from the hook by the door, quiet as I could. Opened her glove compartment. Cables should be right there. Instead, I found a folder. My hands knew before my brain did. Started shaking before I'd even opened it. Inside, 3 more Meadowbrook brochures. A realtor's business card with a note scrawled on back. Quick sale possible. Estate liquidation specialist. A hotel receipt from 2 weeks ago. Claire's name and Derek's meeting room rental. And underneath it all, a document, printed on official-looking paper, unsigned but filled out. Physician's statement of mental competency evaluation. Patient name, Michael Brennan. Boxes already checked. Memory impairment, confusion, difficulty managing finances, risk to self. At the bottom, a doctor's name I'd never heard of. Dr. Howard Patterson. Address in the next county over. My vision blurred. I sat in her car for 20 minutes, folder open on my lap, trying to make sense of it. The pot roast hadn't been an apology, it had been strategy. She'd been sweetening me up while the paperwork waited in her car, while she and Derek planned their next move at some hotel meeting room. I thought about the hand on my arm last night. Cold fingers. No warmth. Performance, not affection. How long had she been planning this? Weeks? Months? Had she ever actually loved me, or had I been a mark from the start? There was something else in the folder, a printout from a real estate website. Estimated value of my house, $340,000. Someone had highlighted the number in yellow. My grandfather bought this land in 1947 with money he'd saved from factory work. Built the foundation himself. My father finished the house in '62. Linda and I raised our daughter here. I'd replaced every board on that porch, fixed every pipe, knew every creak and groan. $340,000. That's all it meant to Claire. Not home, not history, just inventory. I put the folder back exactly where I'd found it, closed the glove compartment, got the jumper cables. My hands shook so bad I could barely attach them to the battery. Back inside, I stood in the kitchen staring at the phone. Jim Kellerman's number was still in my book, same as 40 years ago. He'd closed on this house when Linda and I bought it, drew up my will after she died. If anyone would know what to do about forged paperwork and wives who stopped being wives, it'd be Jim. I picked up the phone, set it down, picked it up again. Claire appeared in the doorway, hair wet from the shower. "Michael, you okay?" "Fine," I said. "Truck battery died. Got it jumped." She smiled, that same warm smile from last night. "I'm making pancakes. Your favorite. More sweetness, more strategy." "I've got an errand to run," I said. "Be back in an hour." I called Jim from the truck, parked at the end of the driveway where Claire couldn't see. "Jim, I need to see you. Today." "It's about Claire." His paws stretched 3 heartbeats. "What's happened, Mike?" My throat went tight. "I think my wife is trying to steal my house. And maybe my life. Come to the office." 2 o'clock. 3 hours to wait and wonder if I was crazy, if I was paranoid, if maybe I really was confused and forgetting things. But that folder had been real. Those checked boxes had been real, and Claire's cold fingers on my arm had been the realest thing of all. Jim Kellerman's office smelled like old coffee and older law books. Wood paneling from the 70s, desk buried under folders, water rings on every surface. It was the kind of mess that comes from 40 years of actually working instead of pretending to. He'd aged since I'd seen him last. More gray, deeper lines around the eyes. But his handshake was still firm, and when he looked at me, he saw me. Not a case number, not a problem to solve. A friend. "Sit down, Mike. Tell me what's going on." I told him. The kitchen ambush, Derek's threats, the folder in Claire's car. My voice stayed steady until I got to the physician's evaluation form with boxes already checked. "They want to declare me incompetent," I said. "Put me somewhere I can't fight back." Jim's jaw tightened. He opened his laptop, typed something, frowned at the screen. "Mike, something odd happened last week. I was going to call you, but I wanted to check some things first." My stomach dropped. "What kind of odd?" "I got a call from someone claiming to be you. Asked about transferring the house title, what paperwork would be needed." I didn't think much of it at first, but the voice bothered me. Younger, smoother, wrong cadence. He turned the laptop so I could see. "County clerk website, property records. So I pulled your file this morning, and I found this." A document filled the screen. Durable power of attorney. My name at the top. Claire Brennan listed as attorney in fact, full authority over financial, medical, and property decisions. Filed 3 weeks ago. Notarized. Official stamp. My signature at the bottom. "That's not my signature," I said. "I know." Jim pulled a folder from his desk, opened it to my will from last year. "Look." He laid them side by side. My real signature, heavy and blunt from decades of machine work. Thick downstrokes, no-nonsense loops. The kind of signature you make when your hands know pressure and precision. The signature on the power of attorney was softer, lighter. The loops too careful, too practiced. Someone had studied my signature and tried to copy it, but they'd missed the weight. "Forgery," Jim said, "clear as day to anyone who knows what to look for. But it's filed and stamped. To the county, it looks legitimate." "What does it mean?" I asked, though I already knew, could feel it in my bones. "It means Claire can sell your house without your consent, access your pension, your bank accounts, make medical decisions for you. If she gets a doctor to sign that evaluation form you found, she can place you in a facility, legally. And there's not much you could do to stop her." The office walls felt closer. "Even though it's forged?" "That's the problem. Proving forgery takes time. We'd need a handwriting expert, forensic analysis, court hearing to invalidate the document. That's months, Mike. And they might move faster." "So what do I do?" Jim leaned back, coffee mug in hand. The mug said, "World's okayest lawyer. Gift from his daughter." First, we file a police report, fraud, identity theft, attempted theft, get it on record. Second, I'll file an emergency motion to freeze any transactions related to your property. Third, he paused. Third, you document everything. Don't confront them yet. Let them think you don't know. Why not confront them? Because right now they're confident. Confident people make mistakes. If they know you're onto them, they'll get careful or desperate. Desperate people do dangerous things. I thought about Derek's laugh. We'll see about that, old-timer. Thought about Claire's cold eyes. Jim, what kind of woman marries a man just to rob him? He was quiet for a moment. The kind who never saw you as a man. Just an opportunity. The words hit harder than I expected. How long have we known each other? I asked. 43 years, since you and Linda bought the house. You think I'm losing it? Forgetting things? Confused? Mike, you remembered the year we closed on your house without even thinking about it. You drove here without calling for directions. You explained this situation clearly and chronologically. If you're confused, then so is everyone over 60. He set down his mug. They're not worried about your competence. They're worried about your bank account. Something in my chest loosened. Just a little. Just enough to breathe. What else has she forged? I asked. What else don't I know? That's what we need to find out. Check your bank statements, credit cards, anything with your signature. Look for documents you don't remember signing. I stood to leave, folder of copies under my arm, my own forged signature staring up at me. Mike, Jim called as I reached the door. You're not alone in this. We'll fight it. I nodded, didn't trust my voice. In the truck, I sat staring at that signature. My name, but not mine. Stolen like someone swiping a credit card. This wasn't about a nursing home. It was about erasure. Claire didn't want to care for me. She wanted to delete me, legally, completely. And I'd almost let her do it because I was too lonely to see the truth. I sat in that parking lot for an hour, trying to remember when my wife became a stranger. Sleep didn't come that night. Every creak in the house sounded like footsteps. Every car on the road might be Derek coming back. I lay on the couch, couldn't stand the thought of my bedroom so close to Claire's locked door, and watched shadows move across the ceiling. At 5:30 a.m., I gave up, made coffee, walked out to the porch in the pre-dawn gray. Henry's porch light was already on, his rocker squeaking that familiar rhythm, slow and steady as a heartbeat. Rough night? He called over. You could say that. Come on over. Coffee's better shared. I crossed the lawn, dew soaking my slippers. Henry had 2 mugs waiting on the little table between our chairs. AM radio playing low. Cardinals spring training coverage, pitchers and catchers reporting. We sat in comfortable silence for a while. That's the thing about good friends. You don't have to fill every second with words. Finally, Henry set down his mug. Mike, I gotta talk to you about something. Been weighing whether to say anything. I tensed. What about? It's about Claire. And her brother. My hands tightened on the mug. What about them? Henry looked uncomfortable, shifting in his rocker. Walls are thin between our houses, especially when windows are open. 2 weeks back, I heard Claire on the phone in your backyard. She said, once we get him placed, we list immediately. The coffee turned bitter in my mouth. At first, I thought maybe you were getting a dog, Henry continued. But her tone was wrong, cold, like she was talking about furniture, not family, so I started paying attention. He reached down beside his chair and pulled out an old Florsheim shoebox. Set it on the table between us. I don't sleep much anymore. Ruth used to say I was half owl. His voice went soft on his wife's name. So I started watching, documenting. He opened the box. Inside, photographs printed on regular paper. Derek's BMW in my driveway. Timestamps in the corner. 3 different days. All times when I'd been at physical therapy for my knee. That's his car, I said. He's been coming when I'm gone. Gets better? Henry pulled out his phone, old flip model, but it worked. Pressed play on a voice recording. Claire's voice, tinny but clear. The plan is solid. Once he's in Meadowbrook, he'll never get out. Those places keep them doped and docile. We list the house, split the proceeds, and I'm done. Derek's laugh in the background. Your Oscar is in the mail, sis. I couldn't breathe. Hearing it, her actual words, her tone, was different than finding paperwork. This was her voice, plotting my erasure like it was nothing. There's more, Henry said quietly. He showed me a notebook. Dates, times, license plates. Derek's visits cataloged like evidence. Screenshots from Facebook. Derek asking his friends if anyone knew sympathetic doctors for a family situation. Henry, why? Why do all this? He was quiet for a long moment. The rocker squeaked. A crow called from somewhere down the block. 5 years ago, my son tried the same thing. Wanted to put me in assisted living, get control of this house. Said I was too old to manage on my own, that I needed supervision. His voice went hard on that word. I fought him. Won. But we haven't spoken since. He's my only kid, Mike. And he's dead to me now. I'm sorry. Don't be sorry. Be angry. Be smart. He looked at me, eyes fierce despite the wrinkles and age spots. I won't let it happen to another man if I can help it. Besides, we're friends. That means something. My eyes stung. I swallowed hard, looked away at the sunrise starting to paint the sky pink. This could be dangerous for you, I said. They might. Let him try. I'm 72 years old, got nothing to lose but cable TV and a mortgage-free house. Screw him. I laughed despite everything. First real laugh in weeks, and it felt like medicine. We sat planning while the sun came up. My legal track with Jim, Henry's surveillance evidence, how to coordinate without tipping them off. What else you need me to watch for? Henry asked. Anything. Everything. I don't know what I don't know anymore. You got it, buddy. The Cardinals announcer was talking about rookie pitchers, the promise of a new season. Everything normal and steady and American as apple pie, like the world wasn't tilting under my feet. Henry? Yeah? Thank you. He nodded once, sharp and final. We got this. That evening I was in the workshop when I heard Claire's car, watched from the window as she pulled in. Derek's BMW right behind her. They sat in her car for 20 minutes, shadows in the growing dark. Too dim to see their faces, but I could imagine them, planning, calculating. Finally they got out, entered through the side door. Not the front. Why the side? Like they were sneaking into their own conspiracy. I heard voices in the kitchen, low, urgent. My heart hammered as I crept closer, staying in shadows. Derek's voice. Doctor confirmed for Friday, 2 o'clock. We do it then. Claire. And if he refuses? He won't refuse. We'll make it sound routine. Annual checkup, home visit, very convenient. By the time he realizes what's happening, Patterson will have signed the evaluation. You trust this guy? For 500 cash, he'd sign his own death certificate. Laughter. Cold, casual laughter. Friday, 2 o'clock, 3 days away. I backed into the workshop, hands shaking. Texted Henry from my old flip phone. They're moving Friday 2 p.m. Don't know all details yet. His response came fast. I'll be ready. We got this, buddy. But my chest was tight with fear. 3 days. What could I do in 3 days against people who'd planned this for months? I looked at the canoe, half finished in the workshop light. Linda used to say, a man finishes what he starts. But what if finishing means losing everything? Thursday morning, one day before the appointment I wasn't supposed to know about. I found Claire making breakfast, pancakes, bacon, fresh orange juice, the full production. She hummed while she cooked, like we were a normal couple in a normal marriage. I couldn't do it anymore. Couldn't pretend. I took the copy of the forged power of attorney from my jacket pocket and laid it on the table. Explain this. She glanced at it, didn't even flinch. Flipped a pancake like I'd asked about the weather. That's your signature, Michael. You signed it 2 months ago, don't you remember? I never signed this. It's forged. She turned off the stove, wiped her hands on a dish towel. Her face was patient, concerned, perfect acting. Michael, this is exactly what I'm worried about. You're forgetting things. I'm not forgetting anything. You forgot your dentist appointment. You lost your car keys 3 times last week, last Tuesday. We had a whole conversation about estate planning, and you don't remember that either, do you? I knew the key thing had happened. I'd misplaced them in the workshop, found them an hour later. Normal. And we'd never talked about estate planning. Never. But her absolute certainty made something twist in my gut. What if I was forgetting? What if my memory was going and I couldn't see it? I want you to leave, I said. We're getting divorced. You're upset. You're confused. She reached for my hand. I pulled away. Let's talk when you're calmer. She walked out, phone already to her ear before she'd cleared the doorway. 20 minutes later, Derek's BMW crunched up the gravel drive. They sat me down at my own kitchen table, both of them across from me, unified front, intervention style. Claire called me, Derek said, voice dripping with false concern. She's scared, Mike. You're acting paranoid. You forged my signature. That's fraud. That's a serious accusation. You could get sued for slander saying things like that. He leaned forward. We're trying to help you, and you're turning it into a conspiracy theory. I heard you on the phone, I said. Talking about placing me, about selling the house. Claire's eyebrows went up. You mean when I was talking about the shelter dog, the one we decided against because of your allergies? Michael, you misheard. You said, get him placed. The dog, Michael. I said the dog needed to be placed with another family. Derek shook his head sadly. See, this is exactly what early dementia looks like. Mishearing things, getting paranoid, accusing family members. He pulled out a printed article from his jacket. Signs of cognitive decline in seniors. Half the symptoms were highlighted: paranoia, accusations toward family, memory gaps, confusion. We love you, Claire said. That's why we're concerned. The words love and concerned sounded like weapons in her mouth. Derek's voice softened. Got real for a moment. Mike, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm in a tight spot. Bad investment during COVID. Lost almost 200 grand. Claire suggested maybe I could help manage your estate, get a small fee for the time and work. That's all this is about. We're not stealing from you. We're trying to organize things before they get messy. The vulnerability in his voice was convincing. For a second, I almost believed him. Almost thought maybe I'd twisted everything in my head, made it darker than it was. Then he said, besides, what are you going to do with this place anyway? You'll be dead in 10, 15 years. House'll just sit empty. Might as well get value from it now. The casual cruelty of it, dead in 10, 15 years, like I was already gone, already irrelevant. Just an obstacle between them and the payout. Get out of my house. Derek stood slowly. We're trying to help you, Mike, but you're making this difficult. Get out. They left, but Claire's parting words floated back. We'll see you tomorrow, 2 o'clock. Dr. Patterson is making a house call. So now they weren't even hiding it. I called my daughter Jessica in Seattle. We hadn't talked in months. Claire always made visiting difficult, and distance does what distance does. Dad, everything okay? I need to tell you something. I explained it all. The ambush, the forged documents, tomorrow's fake doctor visit, silence on the line. Then, Dad, have you been taking your medications? Are you stressed about something? My heart sank. You think I'm making this up? I think Claire's probably right to be concerned. You're not young anymore. Maybe you should see someone. A therapist? Claire's probably just trying to help. Jessica, I've got a work call waiting. We'll talk later, okay? Love you. She hung up. I sat on the porch until dark. Could hear Claire's TV through the wall. Property shows. Always property shows now. Calculating. Behind me, my workshop. Ahead, the house I'd lived in for 67 years. I felt trapped between past and future, unable to move either direction. I could sell tomorrow, take whatever quick cash I could get, leave before Friday's appointment, start over somewhere small, or stay and fight. Risk them winning, risk being declared incompetent, risk ending up like my father, drugged and docile in a place that smelled like industrial cleaner and gave up. Linda's voice in my memory. You always finish what you start, Mike. That's who you are. But what if finishing means destroying yourself? The Cardinals cap sat on the table beside me. Henry's porch light glowed next door. My phone buzzed. Whatever you decide, I'm with you. Henry. I stared at the message. Flee or fight? Dawn came, and I still didn't know. Friday morning, 9 o'clock. 5 hours until the appointment. The knock on the door made me jump. I'd been sitting at the kitchen table, coffee gone cold, staring at nothing. Through the window, a car I didn't recognize, Missouri plates. I opened the door. Grandpa? Sarah stood on my porch with an overnight bag and eyes that said she'd been driving all night. 28 years old, my daughter's daughter, and I hadn't seen her in 3 years. Sarah? What are you? She hugged me before I could finish. Tight, fierce, like she was afraid I'd disappear. Mom called me, she said into my shoulder. Said something was wrong. That you sounded stressed. That Claire was acting weird at the grocery store, so I drove. You drove from St. Louis? That's 8 hours. Closer to 9 with construction. She pulled back, studied my face. Tell me what's happening. It's complicated. I've got time. Claire emerged from her bedroom then, hair in a towel, face registering shock before smoothing into a smile. Sarah, what a wonderful surprise. The temperature in the room dropped 10 degrees. Claire! Sarah's voice was pleasant. Her eyes weren't. Breakfast was uncomfortable. Claire playing the perfect hostess, making small talk about Sarah's drive, her job, the weather. Sarah watching everything with the trained eye of someone who works in design, noticing spaces, relationships, what fits and what doesn't. I saw her notice. Claire didn't touch me. No casual hand on the shoulder, no eye contact. The wedding photo on the mantel had dust on the frame. Claire's separate bedroom lock. After Claire left for errands, Sarah turned to me. Grandpa, tell me everything. So I did. The whole story, start to finish. The kitchen ambush, the forged power of attorney, the fake doctor appointment in 5 hours. Sarah's face went hard. That bitch. I blinked. Sarah never cursed. 3 years ago, she said. Last time I visited, Claire made it crystal clear I wasn't welcome. Little comments about Mike's other life, about how family dynamics are complicated. She put my stuff in the guest room, even though you wanted me in my old room. Made the whole weekend miserable. I stopped visiting because she made it hurt. Guilt hit me like a fist. Sarah, No, I should have known something was wrong. Should have called more. Should have pushed past her. She wiped her eyes angrily. But I'm here now, and we're going to destroy her. It's not that simple. Do you have any devices she's used? I thought. My old iPad. I upgraded last year, left the old one in the kitchen. She uses it for recipes sometimes. Sarah's eyes lit up. Get it. 10 minutes later, Sarah had the iPad open on the kitchen table, fingers flying across the screen. She never logged out of iCloud. Everything syncing, emails, texts, notes, search history. Sarah's voice was clinical now, professional. I'm screen recording everything for evidence. She opened the email app, started scrolling. Oh, Grandpa. Oh, no. What? She turned the screen. Email thread between Claire and Derek. Subject line, the plan. I read. Claire. Once POA filed, we wait 2 weeks, then execute. Derek. Doctor confirmed. We'll sign anything for $500 cash. Claire. 340K split, 60-40. I did more work. Derek. Fine, 60-40. But if this drags out, we revisit. Claire. It won't drag. M's life insurance is 150K. Beneficiary still me. If he dies in the facility. The sentence ended there. Unfinished. Implication clear. My vision tunneled. Sarah's hand gripped mine. Keep reading, she said quietly. More emails, timestamps showing Claire touring nursing homes when I thought she was with friends. Calculations in her notes app. My pension value, annuity distributions, house equity, life insurance. All tallied like a balance sheet. Google search history. How long until power of attorney takes effect? Contested POA. Elder care facilities with memory wards. Selling inherited property quickly. One more email from last week. Derek. Think we should feel bad? Claire. He's old, Derek. Would you feel bad closing a business deal? I wasn't a person to her. I was a transaction. Sarah was printing everything, backing it up to her phone, emailing copies to herself. Her jaw was set, hands steady, but I could see tears on her cheeks. I'm calling the police, she said. Wait. I grabbed her hand. Jim, my lawyer, and Henry next door, we have a plan. For the 2 o'clock appointment, we're going to trap them. Sarah looked at me. You want to let them walk into their own setup? With this evidence, they can't lie their way out? A slow smile spread across her face. Can I stay? I want to watch. It might get ugly. Good. 11 o'clock. I called Henry. My granddaughter's here. She found their emails. Full conspiracy in writing. Hot damn. Jim needs to see this. Emergency meeting, noon, my workshop. Neutral ground. Jim arrived with his briefcase. Henry brought his shoebox of surveillance. Sarah had her laptop. We laid it all out on my workbench, forged POA, recorded phone calls, photographs, emails, search history. Jim studied everything, making notes, finally looked up. This is airtight. When they bring their fake doctor at 2, we'll have Sheriff Riggins here. Tom agreed? I asked. Called in a favor. He owes you from when you helped his son. He'll be here, technically off duty, but the badge still works. Henry leaned against the wall. What if they smell the setup? Then we file criminal charges Monday and do this in court, but I'd rather catch them in the act. Jim closed his briefcase. Michael, you ready for this? I looked at the 3 people who'd shown up when it mattered. Old lawyer, older neighbor, young granddaughter. Not all blood, but all family. Let 'em come. Sarah squeezed my shoulder. You've got this, Grandpa. The workshop clock showed 12:47, 1 hour, 13 minutes until showdown. Outside, a cardinal landed on the fence post. Bright red against the gray wood. Linda always said cardinals were messages from heaven, people checking in to say they're okay. I chose to believe her. 1:15. Positions. Jim took the workshop, door cracked just enough to hear everything in the kitchen. All documents organized in his briefcase, originals, copies, forensic comparisons. He settled into my work chair like a general planning a campaign. Henry went back to his house. From his window, he had clear sight of my driveway. Recording equipment ready, phone charged. I'll text when they arrive, he said. And Mike, you're doing the right thing. Sarah positioned herself in my bedroom, door open just a crack, phone recording, laptop backup running. I'll get everything on video, she whispered. They won't be able to deny a word. 1:30. Sheriff Tom Riggins arrived in his personal truck, plain clothes, jeans, and a flannel shirt, but the badge on his belt caught the light. We shook hands on the porch. His grip was firm, his face weathered from 30 years of law enforcement. Mike, Jim filled me in. This is fraud, plain and simple. I appreciate you coming, Tom. You drove my son to meetings for 6 months. Never asked for thanks, never told anyone. I found out from Jake himself. He said you saved his life. Tom's voice went rough. You need anything, ever, you call me. That's not just words. This could get complicated. I'm here as a friend visiting, but if crimes occur in my presence, I act. That's how this works. He looked at me steadily. They try to take you anywhere against your will. That's kidnapping. They present forged documents. That's fraud. They bring an unlicensed person to pose as a doctor. That's practicing medicine without a license. Clear? Clear. Tom took position in the living room, out of sight from the front door, but with full view of the kitchen. Sat in my reading chair like he'd been there 100 times. Casual. Waiting. 1:45. I sat at the kitchen table. Same spot as the original ambush. Deliberate choice. This time, I controlled the field. Made a pot of coffee. My hands were steady. That surprised me. 3 days ago, I'd been shaking, considering running. Now I was calm, ready. I checked mentally. Jim in place. Yes. Henry watching. Yes. Sarah recording. Yes. Tom ready. Yes. I thought about Linda. She'd always said I was smarter than I let on, that I played the long game better than anyone she knew. You just wait, she'd say. Let them make their moves. Then you make yours. I was making mine now. Thought about my father in that nursing home. Paper gown, glazed eyes, no dignity left. They'd taken everything from him, his autonomy, his identity, his will to fight. Not me, not today, not ever. 1:55. Gravel crunching. Henry's text. 2 cars. Derek's BMW and silver Civic. Unknown plate. My pulse kicked up, but my mind stayed clear. Car doors slamming, voices carrying through the window. Claire's laugh, too bright, performed. Should be quick, just a formality. Derek, 10 minutes tops, then we move forward. Unknown voice, nervous. I'll need to examine him privately. Standard procedure. That would be Patterson, the fake doctor. $500 to sign my life away. Front door opening. Claire had kept her key, obviously. Michael? Her voice sing-songing through the house. We're here. Dr. Patterson is here for your checkup. I didn't answer immediately. Let them come to me. Footsteps. 3 sets. They entered the kitchen. Claire in a nice dress, playing concerned wife. Derek in a polo shirt, respectable brother-in-law. And Dr. Patterson, 60s, thin hair, cheap suit with a white coat thrown over it like a costume. Outdated medical bag that probably came from eBay. His eyes were nervous. Darting. This wasn't his first fraud, and he knew how bad it could go. I stood, polite. Extended my hand to Patterson. Doctor, thanks for making a house call. Don't see that much anymore. His handshake was clammy. Well, Claire expressed concerns. Thought it best to evaluate you in a comfortable environment. Derek gestured to the door. We'll step outside, give you privacy. No need, I said mildly. I prefer witnesses for medical evaluations. Had a situation once, paperwork got mixed up. Like to keep things clear. Claire's eyes narrowed, suspicion flickering. Derek stepped closer. Mike, it's standard procedure to do evaluations privately. Then we'll skip the evaluation. I feel fine. Patterson opened his bag, fumbled with papers. Mr. Brennan, your family has expressed concerns about memory issues, confusion. My family? I looked at each of them. Which family is that? Claire's voice went sharp. Michael? No, I'm genuinely asking. I kept my tone conversational. My granddaughter Sarah drove 8 hours last night to check on me. She's family. Henry next door brings me coffee every morning. He's family. My lawyer Jim, known him 40 years. He's family. Pause. Let it sink in. You 3, you're strangers in my kitchen. Derek's face darkened. What the hell is this? Tom Riggins stepped into the doorway. Afternoon, folks. His voice was casual, but his presence filled the room, badge visible on his belt. Don't mind me. Claire went white. Who? Why is the sheriff here? Patterson backed toward the door, bag clutched to his chest. I think there's been a misunderstanding. Tom held up a hand. No misunderstanding, just visiting my friend Mike. But while I'm here, he looked at Patterson. Doctor, you got credentials I can see? Medical license? Just curious. Patterson's hands shook, reaching for his wallet. Cards spilled onto the floor. Derek grabbed Claire's arm. We need to leave. Now. Jim Kellerman stepped in from the workshop, briefcase in hand. Actually, you need to stay. We have questions. Sarah appeared from the hallway, phone held high, recording light blinking. Lots of questions. Through the window, Henry waved, his own recording device visible. Michael remained seated, coffee cup in hand, calm. Still think I'm confused? I asked Claire. The trap had sprung. Every exit blocked. Nowhere to run. Frozen moment. Nobody moving. Claire and Derek standing like deer in headlights. Patterson half crouched over his spilled wallet. Tom blocking the door. Jim with his briefcase. Sarah with her phone. And me, sitting at my own table, watching it all unfold. Derek recovered first, tried to bluster his way through. This is harassment. We're trying to help him, and you're turning it into some kind of... Jim cut him off, opened his briefcase, pulled out the forged power of attorney, and laid it on the table with the precision of a man playing his trump card. Let's start with this. Power of attorney, filed 3 weeks ago. Michael, is this your signature? I picked it up, examined it like I was seeing it for the first time. No, similar, but the loops are wrong. See here? I trace the letters with my finger. I press harder when I write. 35 years of machine work. You develop heavy hands. This is too light. Too careful. Jim produced a second document. Michael's actual signature from a notarized will revision last month, filed with the county clerk. He laid them side by side. Even to an untrained eye, the differences were obvious. My real signature had weight, authority. The forgery was tentative, practiced, but wrong. Forgery, Jim said calmly. Identity theft, fraud. That's 3 felonies to start. Claire found her voice. You can't prove. Sarah stepped forward, phone screen bright. Actually, we can. Read this email, Claire. Out loud for everyone. She held up the screen. Claire's own words in black and white. Once POA filed, we wait 2 weeks, then execute. 340K split 60-40. I did more work. Claire's face drained of color. How did you? That's private. You can't. You used Grandpa's iPad. Sarah's voice was ice. Never logged out of iCloud. Every email, every text, every Google search about selling inherited property and memory care facilities, all of it synced and backed up. Derek lunged towards Sarah. You little. Tom moved between them faster than a man his age should move. Hand on his belt, not quite touching the badge, but close enough. That's far enough, son. Derek's face went red, panic and rage mixing. This is entrapment. You can't use that. It's illegal search. She used a device she had legal access to, Jim said. Nothing illegal about it, unlike, say, forging someone's signature on legal documents. Tom turned to Patterson, who'd been trying to inch toward the door. Speaking of illegal, doctor, that medical license I asked about? Patterson fumbled with his dropped wallet. Cards everywhere. Grocery store rewards, expired insurance, library card, no medical license. Tom picked up the wallet, examined the driver's license. Howard Patterson? Yeah, I remember you. Fraud case about 3 years back. Lost your license for falsifying medical records for insurance scams. Did 18 months at Farmington. Patterson's face crumpled. I'm retired from practice. This was just a consultation. You're not retired. You're disbarred. Tom's voice went hard. And you were about to fraudulently declare a competent man incompetent so these two could steal his house. That's conspiracy to commit fraud, elder abuse, practicing medicine without a license. Patterson bolted for the door. Tom's arm shot out, blocked him. Nope, you stay right there. Henry's voice came from the porch where he'd moved closer. I got recordings too. He held up his old cassette recorder, pressed play. Claire's voice, tinny but unmistakable. Once we get him placed, he'll never get out. Those places keep them doped and docile. We list the house, split the proceeds, and I'm done. The room went silent, except for the tape hiss. Claire tried a different approach. Tears suddenly, voice breaking. Michael, please. I was scared. Scared you'd die and leave me with nothing. I just wanted security. I panicked. I stood slowly, looked at her, really looked at her. You had security, I said quietly. A home, a husband who loved you, a life. You didn't want security. You wanted money. Derek made one last desperate play, face twisted with contempt. You're a bitter old man. This house is wasted on you. You'll be dead in 10 years anyway and it'll just rot. You're being selfish. Maybe I will be dead in 10 years, I said. But they'll be my 10 years, my house, my death, not yours to sell, not yours to profit from. Mine. Something in my voice must have reached him because Derek fell silent. Jim addressed Tom formally. Sheriff Riggins, I'm requesting you take statements for criminal charges, fraud, identity theft, conspiracy to commit theft, elder abuse, and attempted false imprisonment. Tom pulled out handcuffs. Actually pulled out handcuffs. Claire Brennan, Derek Hoffman, Howard Patterson, you're being detained for investigation of felony fraud. Claire's mask shattered. Michael, we're married. You can't do this to me. I gave you my name, my home, my trust. My voice stayed steady. You gave me back nothing but lies. That's a trade you'll regret. Tom cuffed Claire first. She wasn't crying anymore. The tears had stopped the moment she realized they wouldn't work. Now her face was cold fury, the real person underneath finally showing. "You're pathetic," she hissed. "A lonely old man who got lucky with property. You think you're righteous. You're just a relic nobody wants." I stepped closer, close enough to smell her perfume, still that cloying floral scent I'd never liked. "I'm a relic who still owns his own damn house," I said softly. "You're a thief heading to jail. I'll take relic." Tom cuffed Derek next. He was cursing, fighting the restraints. "You'll die alone, you stubborn bastard. You hear me? Alone." Henry stepped through the door. "He's got me." Sarah moved to my side, arm around my shoulders. "And me." Jim clicked his briefcase shut. "And me." Tom finished with Patterson, who'd gone silent and defeated. "Mike's got more family in this room than you'll ever have. Real family. The kind that shows up." Tom led them out one by one. Patterson first, shoulders slumped. Derek still cursing, fighting. Claire silent now, beaten. I watched from the porch as Tom loaded them into his patrol car. He'd radioed for backup, 2 deputies arriving to help transport. Neighbors had come out of their houses, drawn by the commotion. Small town, everyone heard everything eventually. Mrs. Henderson from across the street called over. "Everything okay, Michael?" I waved. "Everything's fine now, Marge. Just taking out the trash." Nervous laughter rippled through the gathered neighbors. Supportive. They'd known something was wrong. Small towns always know. The patrol cars pulled away, taillights disappearing down the street. I stood there breathing, just breathing. It was over. After they left, the 4 of us stayed on the porch. Jim, Henry, Sarah, and me. "You were incredible, Grandpa," Sarah said. I felt it then. The crash, exhaustion, relief, grief. Because, despite everything, my marriage had just ended in handcuffs. Vindication mixed with emptiness. Jim put a hand on my shoulder. "I'll file the restraining order Monday. Divorce papers by Wednesday. With this evidence, she gets nothing. The prenup holds." "Beer?" Henry offered. "Think we earned one." I looked at them. My allies, my friends, the people who'd shown up when it mattered. But I also felt the weight. The house was secured, the threats removed. But now what? Victory felt heavier than I'd expected. "Grandpa?" Sarah's voice was gentle. "You okay?" "Yeah, just realizing I need to rebuild. Again." "You're not rebuilding alone this time," Jim said. The sun was setting, casting long shadows across the porch. The porch light flickered on, sensor triggered. "Thank you," I said. "All of you. I literally couldn't have done this without you." They left with promises to reconvene tomorrow. Paperwork to file, statements to give, the machinery of justice starting its slow grind. I sat alone on the porch as dusk deepened. Same rocker, same view, but everything different. I'd won. But what had I won? An empty house, broken trust, a reminder that I'd chosen wrong. Twice. Through the window, I could see the wedding photo still on the mantel. I needed to take that down. I closed my eyes. Victory felt like ashes in my mouth. 3 months later. The legal aftermath moved like molasses, but it moved. Derek got 2 years for fraud and conspiracy. Turned out this wasn't his first scheme, just the first time he'd gotten caught. Claire took a plea deal. Probation, restitution, permanent restraining order. She couldn't contact me, couldn't come within 500 feet of the property. Patterson went back to prison on multiple counts. The house was mine again. Legally, completely, undeniably mine. But legal victory and emotional peace are different countries. Early morning, my workshop. Same spot where this all started, but different energy now. I was finishing the canoe. Final coat of varnish, the wood grain glowing honey gold in the dawn light. 2 years of restoration, and I was finally done. 2 coffee mugs sat on the workbench. One mine, one Henry's. That was our routine now. Coffee every morning, Cardinals talk, the comfortable silence of real friendship. Henry walked in without knocking. That's what we'd become. "You gonna actually put that boat in water or just pet it forever?" I smiled. "Today. Thought I'd launch it this morning. Want company?" "Always." We stood there looking at the canoe. It was beautiful work, if I said so myself. Every plank smooth, every joint tight. 2 years of patient craft. Linda would have liked seeing this finished, Henry said quietly. Yeah, she would have. Inside, I made breakfast, scrambled eggs, toast, simple food done right. The house felt like mine again. Claire's decorations gone, photos of Linda back on the mantle, Sarah's drawings stuck to the fridge with magnets. Sarah was asleep in the guest room. She'd started visiting every other weekend, rebuilding the years we'd lost. Last night, we'd stayed up late talking about her work, my projects, ordinary family stuff that felt extraordinary because we'd almost lost it. I left her a note. Gone to lake. Back by lunch. Coffee's ready. Grandpa's Sunday routine had changed too. I'd been going to church more regularly. Something about almost losing everything made me grateful for community, for familiar hymns and neighbors who'd stood by me. There was a woman there, Dolores Martinez, widow, 63, kind smile. We talked a few times after services about the music, the weather, about loss and how you keep going. Last week she'd asked if I'd like coffee sometime. No pressure, just asking. I'd said I'd think about it. I was thinking about it now. Not ready yet, but maybe someday. The difference was I wasn't looking because I was lonely. I was open because I was whole. Henry and I loaded the canoe onto my truck, drove to the lake, small local spot, quiet this time of morning. Mist still hanging over the water, everything soft and peaceful. We carried it to the shore together. I noticed it felt lighter than I remembered. Maybe it was. Maybe I was stronger. Before launching, I took out my carving knife, added one final detail to the bow, carefully cutting the letters into the wood, still standing. Good name, Henry said, lighting a cigarette. Linda used to say, a man finishes what he starts. I ran my hand over the carved words. Took me 2 years to restore this boat. Took me 67 years to learn how to stand up for myself. Better late than never. Amen to that. I pushed the canoe into the water. It slid smooth, barely a ripple. Climbed in, settled onto the seat, picked up the paddle. The lake was glass smooth, reflecting pink sunrise clouds. I paddled out slowly, feeling the rhythm, the quiet pull of water against wood. Birds were waking up, their calls soft across the water. In the middle of the lake, I stopped paddling. Let the canoe drift, pure silence, pure peace. No schemes, no threats, no fear, just me, the water, the sky. I thought about Claire briefly. No anger left, just sadness for the waste of it. She'd had something real and traded it for something that never existed. I thought about Derek in prison. Consequences, not victory. I didn't celebrate that. I thought about my father, wished he could have fought back too. I thought about Linda, thanked her silently for teaching me that finishing matters. I thought about Sarah, grateful for second chances and the family we were rebuilding. I thought about Henry and loyalty that shows up with coffee every morning. The canoe rocked gently. Somewhere a fish jumped, ripples spreading in perfect circles. I paddled back to shore. Henry helped me pull the boat out. So, how's she handle? Perfect, smooth as glass. What now? Now? I considered. Coffee. Maybe work on that birdhouse Sarah asked for. This afternoon, I'll teach you how to actually smoke a brisket instead of burning it like you did last week. My brisket was fine. Your brisket was leather, and you know it. His laugh echoed across the water. We loaded up, drove back. The same roads, same town, same house I'd lived in my entire life. But I was different. Not broken by the betrayal, shaped by it. I'd learned loneliness is hard, but letting the wrong people in is harder. I'd learned family isn't always blood. It's who shows up with evidence in a shoebox and says, we got this. I'd learned dignity isn't granted by others. You claim it by refusing to disappear. I'd learned I was stronger than I thought. We all are, until we're tested. Back home, Sarah was awake, cooking pancakes. She hugged me when I walked in. How was the launch? Good, real good. I'm proud of you, Grandpa. My throat went tight. Thanks, kiddo. The three of us ate together, scrambled eggs and pancakes, Henry stealing bacon off Sarah's plate, her swatting his hand away, ordinary family chaos that felt like medicine. After breakfast, Henry left to watch the Cardinals game. Sarah went to work on some design project. I sat on the porch alone. Choice now, not isolation. Cardinals cap, Fresh coffee, morning sun warming the boards beneath my feet. I looked at the workshop where I'd almost given up. I looked at the house I'd almost lost. I looked at the driveway where they'd almost taken me away. Still mine. All of it. On my terms. My phone buzzed. Text from Dolores. Coffee after service next week. No pressure. Dolores. I stared at the message for a long moment, typed slowly. I'd like that. See you Sunday. Mike, hit send before I could overthink it. Maybe nothing would come of it. Maybe something would. Either way, I was ready to try again. Carefully, wisely, but open. Not because I needed someone. Because I was whole enough to choose someone. Mike! Henry's voice from inside. Game starting. I smiled, stood, went inside to watch baseball with my friend. Life. Imperfect, and small, and enough. 1 week later. Evening on the porch. Dusk settling in like a blanket. The canoe rested in the yard, still standing carved into its bow where anyone could see. Henry's porch light glowed next door. Companionship available, never forced. Sarah's car sat in the driveway. She'd extended her weekend, wanted me to teach her dovetail joints in the workshop. I rocked slowly, listening to the Cardinals game drift through the screen door. Coffee long gone cold, but I didn't mind. 67 years old, married wrong twice. Lost people I loved. Almost lost myself. But still here, still mine, still standing. The fight hadn't really been about the house, though that mattered. It had been about refusing to disappear. About proving, not to Claire or Derek, but to myself, that my life still belonged to me. Silence doesn't mean surrender. It never did. I thought about men my age, some in facilities against their will, some isolated, some who'd just given up. It happens easy when the world tells you you're done, you're obsolete, you're in the way. Age doesn't erase autonomy, only if you let it. The house would go to Sarah someday. I'd already updated the will with Jim. She'd know her grandfather fought for it, kept it, showed her that you don't give up what matters. You finish what you start. You stand when they tell you to kneel. Henry taught me that asking for help isn't weakness. Sarah taught me that family finds you if you're worth finding. Jim taught me that systems can be weapons or shields. You just need the right allies. Even Dolores, barely knowing her yet, taught me that second chances exist if you're brave enough to reach for them. Stars emerging in the purple sky. Cardinals game tied in the 7th inning. My hands on the porch railing, my porch, my choice to sit here. Linda used to say, Mike, you're stronger than you know. She was right. Took me long enough to believe her. Not happy. Happiness is overrated and fleeting. But content, dignified, free. Still becoming who I was always meant to be. I stood, stretched. My knee protested. I ignored it, same as always. Time to teach Sarah those dovetail joints. I passed through the living room, past the mantel where Linda's photo sat again. Claire's finally gone. I paused, touched the frame. I finished it, Linda. The canoe, the fight, me. Closed the door on the day. Tomorrow, coffee with Henry. That brisket lesson he desperately needed. Church on Sunday, maybe coffee with Dolores after. The days stretching ahead weren't grand or dramatic, just ordinary life. Small choices, quiet mornings, work that mattered because I chose it. But they were my days, my choices, my life. In the workshop, Sarah looked up from the wood she was studying, smiled when she saw me. Ready, Grandpa? Ready? I picked up a chisel, felt its familiar weight. Outside, the cardinal I'd seen before, or maybe a different one, sang its evening song. Life, small and fierce and mine, still standing, still here, still enough,